These are Europe's top 10 mega projects, from the world's largest offshore wind farm to a controversial canal threatening Black Sea political stability. Number 10. The Stad Ship Tunnel. Many sailors are afraid of a section of the water that is off the rocky coast of Norway. The Stadhavet Sea, one of the nation's busiest nautical routes, is considered the meeting point of the North and Norwegian seas. With erratic winds and weather patterns, the region has a reputation for being among the coast's most hazardous waters. Historians have recorded that even the Vikings prefer to drag their boats across land rather than sail these waterways. Even with years of experience, many consider the Stadhavet Sea dangerous for sailors. Most ships these days have to wait several days for the seas to calm down enough to allow for safe passage. The Norwegian Coastal Administration created plans to build the first full-size ship tunnel in history to make traveling through this area safer. If the Stad Ship Tunnel avoided the risky Stadhavet Sea, travel times could decrease by up to 2 hours. At 1.8 kilometers long, 50 meters wide, and 36 meters high, the tunnel can handle 120 ships daily. After completion, the Stad Ship Tunnel will be the first to accommodate full-size oil tankers and cruise ships. At about $272 million, the Norwegian government approved the project in 2021. Construction of the Stad Ship Tunnel is anticipated to begin in 2024 and finish in 2026. Before seeing this next project, subscribe to LuxLook 365. Currently, only 0.2% of our viewers are subscribed. Please help us get this number to 5% and subscribe to LuxLook 365. Number 9. Frankfurt International Airport Expansion Project. Frankfurt International Airport is Germany's most significant and busiest, handling 70 million travelers annually. Frankfurt International is the country's leading passenger airport and Europe's best freight hub, processing over 2 million tons of cargo last year. Because of its importance as a critical European transport hub and the growing number of passengers each year, a $5.7 billion expansion project was started in 2005 to modernize the airport's infrastructure and boost passenger and cargo capacity. One project was the 800-meter extension of the airport's oldest terminal to accommodate 7 new wide-body aeroplane stands. When finished in 2012, the extension expanded the airport's capacity by almost 6 million passengers per year. The 2011 construction of an east-west 2.8-kilometer runway transformed the airport. This new runway allows simultaneous landings, increasing the airport's aircraft capacity. Finally, 2015, a third terminal was built south of the runways. After the U.S. airbase closed in 2005, the airport took over. Terminal 3 is estimated to boost airport capacity by 19 million passengers annually and cost about $1.1 billion. The COVID-19 pandemic delayed the terminal's opening until 2026. Number 8. Istanbul Canal. Istanbul, Turkey, is one of the world's most strategic cities. At the crossroads of Europe and Asia, the city sits on either side of the Bosphorus Strait, which links the Black Sea to the Mediterranean and the world seas. This natural waterway alone has more ships than the Panama and Suez Canal combined. Despite being entirely within Turkish borders, the strait only benefits Turkey monetarily. Turkey ratified the Montreux Convention in 1936 to limit its use. The pact strongly restricted warship access to the strait and granted free transit to civilian vessels, ensuring Turkey's neutrality during World War II. The strait is one of the world's busiest maritime routes. Therefore, ships often wait days to pass through. The Turkish government plans to build the Istanbul Canal to reduce marine traffic, an artificial river that would cut through Istanbul's European side, making it an island. The 45-kilometer canal might cost the Turkish government $15 billion. Construction began in 2021 and is projected to take 7 days. This new waterway would bypass the Bosphorus and, some say, the Montreux Convention. This would allow Turkish allies like the US to move warship near Russia in the Black Sea. Turkey might tax vessels passing by, thinking the project will pay for itself in a few years. Number 7. Hornsea 3 and 4. This film uses an outstanding 3D size comparison animation. As you may have seen, we worked with To The Top partners. Subscribe to their channel for more videos like this. We now have Hornsea 3 and 4. Only China produces more offshore wind power than the UK. 4 of the world's 5 largest offshore wind farms are in the country. The world's second and first largest wind farms, Hornsea Projects 1 and 2 are the most notable. Hornsea 1 and 2 are 80 kilometers east of England in the North Sea. These two wind farms generate 2.6 gigawatts, enough to power 3 million UK households. The wind farm will cover 870 square kilometers or half of London's area. Even while the country's offshore wind turbines generate 14 gigawatts, they still need to meet their 2030 objective of 50 gigawatts. Newer and larger offshore wind farms are planned for the country. One wind farm under construction is Hornsea 3, slated to conclude in 2027. Construction will cover 700 square kilometers east of Hornsea 1. Hornsea 3 will generate 2.8 gigawatts from 230 wind turbines, even stronger than Hornsea 1 and 2. Finally, Hornsea 4 is planned for 600 square kilometers northwest of Hornsea 1. By 2027, the project should be operational after starting development in 2023. Number 6. Energy Islands of Denmark. Denmark is familiar with offshore wind farms. The country's first offshore wind farm, erected in 1991, sparked technological advancement. Wind power generates over half of Denmark's electricity, the highest in the world. Danish authorities proposed the country's most significant construction project to boost clean and renewable energy. Denmark plans to construct the first energy islands by 2030 to link vast offshore wind farms to Denmark and neighboring countries. The Danish energy islands will include two massive offshore wind farms in the North and Baltic Seas. As a central hub, an artificial island will be built in the North Sea, with a capacity of up to 10 gigawatts to serve 10 million European households. The second hub will be 3 gigawatts Bornholm in the Baltic. Danish wind energy capacity would rise sevenfold with the energy islands. By 2024, construction should commence on the project. Number 5. European Route E39. Norway's coastal topography has traditionally been challenged due to its rocky, rugged terrain and thousands of tiny islands. The European Route E39 provides an easy-to-travel corridor along the Norwegian coast to remedy this problem. Despite the E39, more than the 1,300-kilometer route is needed to solve the problem of a continuous Norwegian coastal path. Although designated as a single route from Denmark to the heart of Norway, the E39 comprises multiple portions over extensive waterways. Driving the entire route would take at least a day, requiring 7 boat connections. The Norwegian government plans to slash 20-plus hours of travel time in half by eliminating all ferry connections. They hope to achieve this. Tunnels and bridges will skip river crossings along the route. They are connecting Aalborg, Denmark, and Trondheim, Norway. The Rogfast subsea tunnel, which would link Stavanger and Boken in Norway under 15 kilometers of water, is crucial to this E39 project. The 27-kilometer, roughly 400-meter deep road tunnel would be the world's most prolonged and profound. The tunnel began construction in 2018 and is scheduled to open in 2033. The proposal proposes 4 floating highways to convey the E39 across Norway's most incredible and beautiful fjords. A projected bridge would stretch 5 kilometers above the water over the Bjørnafjorden. After completion, this floating bridge would be twice as long as the existing record. Number 4. Grand Paris Express. The Paris Metro is one of the world's busiest, with 4 million daily riders. Its Art Nouveau entrances from the early 1900s are equally famous. Paris has the worst traffic in Europe as a top tourist destination. The city government has prioritized building infrastructure for millions of daily commuters in Paris to address the growing issue. The Grand Paris Express is a significant initiative to reduce Paris's traffic. The city's major transport project is to expand the Paris Metro's reach and connectivity. 4 new lines and 2 extensions are needed for the project. The Grand Paris Express will add 200 kilometers of tracks and 68 stations to serve 2 million passengers daily. Starting with 2015, the new lines are being built in phases until 2030. Number 3. Hinkley Point C Nuclear Power Station. Nuclear power stations are notoriously expensive to develop and decommission. If managed well, their advantages can outweigh their early expenses. When Hinkley Point C nuclear power station was proposed in 2010, British people had conflicting feelings. However, French and British energy corporations funded the new plant, making everything look good. Hinkley Point C is part of a new generation of nuclear power reactors to replace old, expensive, and inefficient ones. The 3.2 gigawatt project was supposed to finish in early 2020s and produce 7% of the nation's electricity. Continuous delays caused the construction to take 8 years longer than expected and cost twice as much. 2030, a Hinkley Point C financial investor left the project because of escalating building expenses from the 2011 Fukushima tragedy. COVID-19 compounded the project's delays by disrupting supply chains and reducing site staff. The project is still under development and on track to cost $47 billion, more than twice its initial budget, with a 2028 completion date. Number 2. High Speed 2. London Channel Tunnel high-speed train service opened in 2007 to great acclaim. High Speed 1, built on time and within budget, cuts London-Paris travel time. After its exceptional success, the British government wanted to build a second high-speed line to connect the capital to essential cities to the north. In 2009, the Department of Transportation began planning High Speed 2, a second high-speed train route. High Speed 2 will be built in 2 phases: London to Birmingham, Birmingham to Manchester, and the East Midlands Parkway. The project is expected to cost $132 billion by 2020, making it the most significant transport investment initiative in almost a century. In 2020, viaducts and tunnels were built to carry the new high-speed line over and under various terrains. Project completion is expected in the early 2030s. Number 1. Trans-European Transport Network. The European Union is known for its vast and linked web of roads, railways, and airports, making it extremely easy for people to go in and out of different countries. Indeed, 27 European nations comprise the Schengen area. Travel between countries in this area is primarily border-free and covered by a single visa policy. The EU planned to build a pan-European transport network to improve connectivity and mobility. The Trans-European Transport Network will connect the EU with roads, railroads, airports, seaports, waterways, and telecommunications infrastructure. The project will cover all European population centers on 9 core network routes. The $625 billion project is expected to finish in 2050. This ambitious vision includes the Fehmarn Belt Tunnel, connecting Germany's Fehmarn to Denmark's Lolland. The 2021 to 2029 project would be the world's longest road and rail tunnel. This critical infrastructure would substantially shorten time travel between Copenhagen, Hamburg, and continental Europe. The Mont Cenis-based tunnel, which will cross the Alps and connect Italy and France by high-speed rail, is very intriguing. The larger Lyon-Turin rail link project connects both countries' train network for more straightforward trade and travel. After completion in 2030, the Mont Cenis-based tunnel will be the world's longest rail tunnel at 58 kilometers. Which project are you most awaiting? Share in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.